Today we are going to be talking about the Commonplace book, just how to start a Commonplace book. The easiest way to start a Commonplace book is this sort of page right here. This is sort of how I started out commonplacing, and I'm going to give it all away here at the beginning. It's giving yourself a little space inside of the notebook or the journal that you're already using day in and day out. So in the past, I've seen a lot of YouTube videos talking about commonplace books, what they are, what they're not, like just really technical like definitions of what a commonplace book is, the like grand history of like what a commonplace book is. And this is not that video. If you want to go watch a video on like the history of commonplace books or like read more about it, like Roland Allen's The Notebook, A History is a great book mentioned on many channels, including this one. But today I want to talk about what I had to do to kind of get myself into the commonplacing sort of mindset and how my commonplace book grew from a single page to then many pages to then eventually getting to that place where I could have a book on its own. And I'll link down in the description below a couple other commonplace book videos. I think Parker Settercase and Robin Walden, and if I'm trying to think who else, anyone else's videos that I've seen on commonplace books, I'll link below, just so you kind of know the context of where I'm coming from. But this is not technically my commonplace book. This is my bullet journal. So I've been doing my bullet journaling in here. Kind of like a hybrid model, I guess, of bullet journaling, but also just like freehand journaling. And this is the Leuchtturm bullet journal that they sell, I guess. These are great because they are numbered and they have a dot grid, and I'm pretty sure this is the 120 GSM page that Leuchtturm does that I really wish they'd bring to their A6, and I will not stop talking about that until they do. But this is their A5 sized journal. Now that we got all that out of the way, how can you start a commonplace book by just starting with a single page in your notebook? I started commonplacing a single page that was just for Latin lines that I thought were very beautiful. So this started a couple years ago when I was beginning to teach myself Latin to the best of my abilities. I've never had any like formal training in Latin, but I am a Latin American, so I've mostly been piecemealing it together for the last 7 years, and it was really in the last like 3 years or so that I started reading the original Bible in Latin, and or like the original canonization of the biblical text. I know they were written in like Hebrew and like Greek, but the original canonization of the text. So I just created a page in that notebook that was like, anytime I come across something that I find very beautiful, I'm gonna put it down here on this page. And I can still remember to this day, even without it in front of me, sort of like the first 3 that I put down on there was from the book of Exodus. When God introduces himself to Moses, he calls himself, in the English it's like Lord, Lord, which is a terrible translation. I don't know how anyone got away with that, but in the Latin it is Domain Dominator Deus, which is this beautiful triple alliterative description of God, that he's like literally the one who dominates all domains. And then the second one I remember putting in there was from the book of Job at the ending, where Job is actually finishing his conversation with God. And he says, Ari adafit adi, I believe is what it is, which basically is saying like, my ears have heard you, or I've heard you with my ears. And then he goes into, but my eyes have seen you, following his whole story of like this back and forth about his suffering with God. And then the final line that I remember recording in that particular notebook was Psalm 23, where it says, he refreshes my soul. I just wrote something about this on my Substack. If you haven't subscribed, go check that out. But that line, he refreshes my soul, as a not as an English speaker who also speaks Spanish, to me, that line always seemed like like Coca-Cola had sponsored a Bible translation. I was like, what does this mean? And in the original Latin, it was animam meam convertit, which means like my soul is his, he converts me, or like literally like my soul is converted by him. But it has like the implied like possessive nature. I'm probably not getting that right. I wrote it correctly in the Substack article, so if you go check that out, I'll link that down below. But it was just coming across these lines that were very beautiful, whether they were like rhyming or had alliterative nature or had this like sort of percussive, flowing language. Something about the Latin really made me wanted to collect those things and put them into an individual place. But that's all it took. Like I just had like half a page that was filled with like beautiful Latin lines from the Bible. That was like my first Commonplace thing. And that was a great way to learn, because that really helped me memorize some key Latin words and help like keep me really aware and looking out for different Latin phrases that captivated me, that felt beautiful. That Commonplace book eventually became what is now my first book that I just released last month in June of 2025, called Restored in the Rhythm. And it was all about taking those beautiful Latin lines, translating them into English, so they communicated more of that beauty than maybe, I don't know what some of the English translations were going for. I think they were translated prior to 2000 maybe, so a lot of those translations feel like happy-go-lucky 90s or earlier sort of like language, where the sort of like seriousness but beauty and reverence that has been in the Vulgate since whatever, the like 4th century. I wanted to pull that forward and try to communicate that to my reader the best I possibly could. There's several good English translations of I think the biblical texts that pull directly from the Greek and the Hebrew, but I wanted to help guide the reader from that English to Latin. Anyway, that's a long way to say that like that Commonplace book effort became a book that I'm really proud of. I'll link that also in the description below so you guys can check that out if you haven't yet. But that was just a really fun way to like think through some very, I think, important biblical verses that maybe we don't take a second look at unless we see them in this other language, in this sort of like beautiful form, and really in the form that most of church history has like meditated on those scriptures. Unless you were some theological scholar or some maybe if you're Eastern Orthodox, like a Greek Orthodox, you were reading the Bible in Greek. But for most of human history, if you were west of Athens, you were probably reading the Bible in Latin, and you were learning about the Bible in Latin and all the biblical stories in Latin. And there is just like a beauty there that I found that I really enjoyed and want to share with people. And that's sort of what kicked off my Commonplace book. So that then became my first book, which I'm really stoked on. And then this sort of fed into what is now becoming my next book, which is all about the Proverbs. So I ended up going back through a lot of my devotional notes and started forming a Commonplace book sort of around the Proverbs. There's actually several pages here. But this is another key tip I think about commonplacing, is if you already have a piece of work, or if you know you're going to go study a piece of work, and you already have ideas of things that you want to grab from that piece of work, write those headings down and then give yourself the space to begin working with them. For each of these, I didn't even need to give myself a whole page. I just wanted to index where I found like whatever 10, 12 different verses that address some of these ideas that I was looking at. So like for me, what's really haunted me about the Proverbs is there's this like proclamation that there is this feminine energy, this feminine force that's like defined as wisdom and prudence, in sort of like contention with this like evil anti-feminine force that is like portrayed as the adulterous woman. And there's like the literal reading of those things, but then there's the sort of next layer down of like almost this like good versus evil that's happening in the feminine realm, the feminine forces across all creation. And I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to like meditate on that and share that with people, because that was something that has never been taught to me, but absolutely eats up. It's actually like a common arc throughout all the Proverbs. So it's like, why don't people teach that? Why don't we teach that? That sounds wild. I had some other headings here on like the sort of like idea that there's this worthy son that's being spoken to throughout the whole text, and like this idea of like the contrast of like old and young people. I kind of broke up also like the Benjamin Franklin, Poor Richard Almanac sort of thing, like healthy, wealthy, wise, and trying to look at different proverbs like specifically on health and wealth and wisdom. I'll save maybe the last few bits for the book when this finally comes out, but this is becoming now my second book. So I've been able to start meditating on these and building these out into pages where I'm writing more and creating like entire chapters around these ideas, and able to really meditate and dive deep on these. And then also, of course, like check sources and go back to things from all throughout Christian history to make sure you're not not a heretic. Not a heretic is like one of the key things to do whenever writing about scripture, is just like make sure you're not a heretic. But this has been really exciting, and even still, this isn't necessarily like a full Commonplace book. Again, this is in my bullet journal, so this isn't like I made an entire Commonplace book, but I did set aside several pages in here to Commonplace on these different ideas throughout something like the Proverbs, or in the past, like I said, the Psalms and some other beautiful texts in there, like from Job and Exodus and some of the other things. Your Commonplace book, though, doesn't need to be this heavy. I think one of the fun things that I've been working on recently is I have a smaller field notebook, which I don't know where it is right now. It's probably in my bag across the room, but one of the things that I wanted to do was just catalog the 16 different species of trees where I live here in North Idaho, talk about some of the characteristics, places where I've encountered them in the forest, and then what their wood is good for, if it's like a softer wood, harder wood. Does it burn well? How long does it take to season? Are there any notable things that I can glean or learn about that particular thing? So kind of creating like my own little almanac. I've seen some smaller resources here in the Pacific Northwest area, but I just want to create my own. It's sort of made like a fun adventure in like just going outside. I kind of got the inspiration for that from Theodore Roosevelt. If you haven't yet read his biography that Edmund Morris did, The Rise of Theodore Roosevelt, that was such a incredible, probably one of the best biographies ever written. But in there, Theodore Roosevelt, when he's a kid, he's just like going outside and like looking at birds and like trying to understand birds and like their songs and their colors and how they interact. And it's really cool and inspiring. And I'm not actually that into birds, but I do really like trees. And I live in the Pacific Northwest, and there's a ton of trees here, 16 different species to be specific. So you can do something even as simple as that. Just write down like different trees in your area, or maybe if you're not in an area that's necessarily forested or wooded, right? Maybe there's some other historical things of value that you can go sort of set up a quest. I think that's really what I want to get at here with the Commonplace book, is it doesn't necessarily need to be this like really heavy theological thing. It can be a really fun, playful thing. You can just create a header that says like, here's where I'm going to note things about like historical buildings in my city, or like here's a thing where I'm going to note what foods are currently in season and dishes I can make with that food, right? We've recently been a part of a meal train, which is like where people bring you food because we just had our newborn, our little girl, a few weeks ago now, and one of the things that my wife has been doing is just cataloging in like a Commonplace book style all the different meals that she really liked from that meal train, and then asking different people who brought those meals for the recipes for those, right? And being able to put those into a Commonplace so we can actually, one, thank all those people who brought us meals, and if you're someone who brought us a meal during this time, thank you so much. But then also have a place where we can come back to those meals and remake them, or try a different spin on them or something like that. So it can be as simple as something like recipes. It can be as simple as something as like things to like collect and explore outside, and it can be as like, I think, in depth as something like trying to organize information and insight from sacred scripture. One final thing I'll say about this is that I've learned so much, or I've had better like retention of information by just organizing things down. I think sometimes I've like written things down and rewritten things down, and I've gotten frustrated at myself because it's felt maybe like I'm like doing busy work or work that feels like monotonous sometimes, where it's just like, oh, am I gonna copy this page again? But every single time when I get to the end of a page, when I get to the end of like copying a page or moving just that information around, rewriting things, or even leaving my own notes on it again, that really helps me not only with like knowledge retention and like thinking through things and memorizing things, but then it also helps like the generative creative process. And I think sometimes with writer's block, there can be this like, I don't know, writer's block may not even exist, who knows? But if you don't want to ever like feel writer's block, at least for me, from my perspective, copying the things and like returning to the things that are valuable to you that you've already written down, and rewriting them and rephrasing them and working through them, annotating them, why they're interesting to you, that for me has always gotten me out of tough spots. So I just want to share that. Let me know down in the comments below if you are commonplacing. Let me know what it is that you're commonplacing. Maybe you're doing like a field journal with specific birds or trees or something like that. Maybe you're into sacred scriptures, theology, things like that. Whatever it is, leave a comment down below, inspire us, because that's why I show up here every week, is to share some of that inspiration with you guys. So with that, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. If you haven't yet, please do so, and be kind both in life and in the comments below. Like this video to send good vibes across the internet. We'll do it again. And we'll do it again soon. Wow. All right. Still tired. Tired parent of multiple kids now. Later.